Started. I'm recording the webinar now just so that anybody who couldn't attend will be able to see it later. And also, in case you have any other questions, you can look back. And I'll turn on my webcam so you can see me. Hello. So I'm Katie, and I'm calling you from Prague. So I'm excited to welcome you here in just about a month and a half. You'll be here, which is fantastic. Thank you all for coming. This is just a short webinar, hopefully about 40-45 minutes, where I'll go over pretty much everything that you need to know about the ECES program before you get here, including the website and course registration and orientation and arrivals and all of that good stuff. And I'll hopefully be able to answer any questions that you've had that you haven't had a chance to email me yet. And if you have any questions, as I said throughout the webinar, please type them into the chat box, and I will keep checking that just in case, so I can get to everything as we go along. But for now, I'll get started. So first thing, I'll just mention really briefly, most of our students will not need visas for the summer program, but there are a couple of you out there that would need a visa, particularly any citizens of China that we have coming to ECES this summer. So I've already sent out information to those of you who need a visa about the visa process, but in case you weren't aware that you needed a visa, or if you have any questions, please reach out to me as soon as possible so that you can start applying for that. For those of you who are citizens of the US or Canada, the citizens of the UK are excluded from this. You can only stay in the Schengen zone for a maximum of 90 days. So that includes the day that you arrive in the Schengen area through the end, including the program time. So if you plan to come early and travel or stay late and travel, just keep in mind that you have to keep it under 90 days. And then you actually only get 90 days within a 180-day period. So if you stay for 90 days this summer, you have to wait another 90 days before you can come back to the Schengen area. So keep that in mind. I'll quickly go over the ECES program dates. These can also be found on our website, and I'll show you exactly where that will be. But for now, so course registration will begin on Monday, May 23rd, and that's at midnight Central European time. So that's 6 p.m. on the East Coast of the US, or 11 p.m. on May 22nd in the UK, for those of you joining us from the UK. And again, 6 p.m. on May 22nd. So I'll go over course registration in a bit, but a lot of students do sign in right away. So I'll explain exactly how that will work, but keep in mind that's the official course registration date. Then the arrival date is Wednesday, June 15th. And that's the official arrival day in Prague, so that's the day that you'll be provided with transportation to and from the airport. If you decide that you want to come earlier to travel around, that's totally fine. But keep in mind that you'll have to get yourself from the airport to the dorm or your housing otherwise. Orientation goes from the 16th to the 18th, and actually we've added some optional activities on the 19th too, which I'll go over. And then courses will begin that Monday. And you only have 2 days for add and drop, but it means that every class has met at least once by that Wednesday, most of them twice or sometimes 3 times. So by that time you have to make the decision whether or not you'll stay in all of your classes. And again, I'll explain that when we go through course registration. You'll have a midterm period in the beginning of July, and then we have one Friday where there'll be mandatory makeup classes, and then the regular program will end on the 15th. For those of you who have applied for the extension, the applications have been sent over to the professors, so I'll get back to you about that as soon as I possibly can. But the extension program will begin on the 16th, and then it will end on the 31st. And I'll also mention that if any of you still want to apply for the extension program, you can still do that. Just try and send me your essay as soon as possible, definitely by the end of this week. But there are still spaces available for both courses. Hi, Christian. Welcome. All right. So the next thing, hello. Glad you could join. So the next thing I'll go over is the ECES website, and I'll just explain how to register in case some of you haven't done that yet. So all of you, when you submitted your application, actually put your information into our system for us. So the information that you enter here will be the ones that you entered on your original application. So you'll click register here in the top right-hand corner, and then you'll enter your first name. For the example, my first name will be Kay, and your family name, Ford, and your date of birth, and click register. Then you'll choose a login name and a password. So we'll go ECS webinar 1. Okay, so then you should get this page that says you've been successfully registered. If you don't get this, if you get some sort of error, please just send me an email with your full name and your date of birth. Sometimes if there's a typo somewhere, it won't let you into the system, but I can fix that for you on our end, not a problem. So once you've registered, you'll type in your new username and password up at the top and click login. So then you'll be logged into our summer page. And on this page, you'll click Summer Students 2016. This will be your landing base for everything that you need to know, especially before you get to Prague. So here you'll find your pre-departure guide, which you should have also received by email. And so I'll just show you what that looks like. I really recommend that you read through this in its entirety because it contains a lot of really useful information about the program and about living in Prague. And it'll probably answer a lot of the questions that you might have. So of course, feel free to come to me and I can answer those for you, but otherwise, most of the information that you'll need will be contained in this pre-departure guide. And I see the midterm period question. So the midterm period is just the period where you'll have midterm exams if it's included in the course. But what is included exactly, all of the assignments and tests will be in the syllabus for each individual course. So it's just the suggested midterm period. It's the middle of the summer program. But it doesn't necessarily mean that there will be midterms then. So back to the website. You'll also have information here about how to register for courses, information about the summer program. So I recommend that you read through that. This My Agenda tab will show your courses once you've signed in for courses after May 23rd. It will also show any trips or activities you're registered for, your profile. So that's going to be useful for you after you register for courses and after you get to Prague. The course schedule tab is probably the most important for you now because it lists all of the courses and the schedule for what we have this summer. So you'll see here the course titles, how many spaces are available, and when the course meets. If you want to see a more visual version of the course schedule, we actually have it on our homepage. So once you log out, you can see it here at the bottom, and it's an Excel spreadsheet that's color-coded. So because our summer program is quite packed, we actually have a lot of students coming this year, more than we've ever really had in the past, which is really exciting, but it means more courses. So this is a place where you can look and see when each course meets in relationship to other courses. So you can see easily what will conflict with other courses. So back to the website. When you go to course schedule, just click on a course title. Sorry, it logged me out. Okay, so when you're in course schedule, click on a course title, and this is where you'll be able to see all of the information about the course. So this is actually the syllabus on the website here, but if you want to see the PDF version of the syllabus, just scroll to the bottom of the page and click download syllabus, and you'll actually be able to see the full thing right here. And Edward, in further answer of your question, this is also where you'll see the assignments and the papers and all of that good stuff. So for example, on the second lecture, the photography professor will be going over the midterm expectations, and then on the 7th, they'll have an evaluation. So once you read through each syllabus, you'll be able to see exactly what each course is requiring. So this is the website. I recommend that you try to register for the website as soon as possible because if you do have any issues, if you run into any errors, you definitely want to have those resolved with me prior to the beginning of course registration. I'll be online at midnight for course registration, so I can troubleshoot issues for you then. But it could happen that by the time I'm able to troubleshoot the issue for you, the course that you wanted is already full. So it's really important, like I said, to make sure that you try and register as soon as possible. And let me see, if we don't have the course pre-approval sheet signed here, any pre-approval sheet that you need for your home university is just for your home university. So as far as we're concerned, you can register for any course. You can register for up to 4 courses. Anything that you need to get pre-approved, that's actually something that you do directly with your home university. And I think, Sarah, that you're a SUNY student, so maybe that would be something best to speak with Christian about.
Yeah, can I just chime in really quickly on that, Katie? This will probably make sense for students at other schools too, but yeah, the pre-approvals that Sarah's talking about are something that she should do with her home campus advisor. And the syllabus that Katie just pointed out is the perfect thing to bring to your advisor to show them the type of class that you're hoping to take. And just really quick, New Paltz students, SUNY students, you're actually only able to register for 2 classes. You could probably register for more, but you're only allowed to take 2 classes in the summer program. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I'll just briefly introduce. That's Christian Spiedling, and he's from the SUNY New Paltz school. That's one of our partners. So for those of you who aren't SUNY students, check with your home advisor and your academic advisor as well to make sure how many classes you're allowed to take, how you get them pre-approved, and all of that good stuff, because it'll definitely vary by school. But for those of you who attend a SUNY school and are coming through the SUNY New Paltz agreement, that information is for you. And thank you, Christian, because that was helpful. If a course conflicts, yes, so if a course conflicts on one day with another course, unfortunately you won't be able to take both courses. We've tried our best to arrange the courses so that they conflict with as few as possible, so that they conflict with the same ones every day or whatever. But we had to do it based on the professors' schedules as well, and so sometimes they ended up conflicting a bit more than others. So I apologize for that, but yes, you should only pick one because you do need to attend all of the classes. We have a fairly strict attendance policy, and that's because the courses are so intensive, it's really for your benefit. Yeah? All right, so I'll go back to the PowerPoint and I'll go through the website a little bit more as we go along. The first thing, so course registration, as I mentioned, begins on May 23rd at midnight Central European Time. That means on May 22nd at 6 p.m. on the East Coast, at 11 p.m. on the 22nd in the UK, and at 3 p.m. on May 22nd on the West Coast. So if you aren't in one of those time zones, please sort out exactly what time registration will begin for you where you will be on that day. And keep in mind that spaces and courses are given on a first-come, first-served basis. So it's super important that you get more courses approved than you plan to take in case there's a chance that you don't get into one of the courses that you originally wanted because they do fill up. And I'll explain how to go about registering. So we'll go back to our photography example here. You will click sign in. And right now it's going to say it's not currently possible to sign in because it's not the sign-in period yet. But when you do that after May 23rd, it will put you onto the course list, which you will be able to see after you click details. So there will only be ECES students in the summer program, and you can see exactly how many spaces are available for each course. For a lot of the courses, including especially this photography course, there isn't space to add additional students. So if, let's say, 15 students signed up for this and you were the 16th student, that means that you would automatically be put on the wait list when you signed in. And then if one other student dropped, you would be automatically added to the class. So if enough students drop, you'll be automatically added. But a lot of the time we can't add spaces and courses due to the nature of the course. So keep in mind that if you're on the wait list, we cannot guarantee that you will be able to eventually get into the class. In some cases, it does work out, but always better safe than sorry to get a couple more approved in advance. All right, so go back here. Okay, so the next, arriving in Prague. Like I said, the official arrival day is Wednesday, and if you want the airport transport from the airport to the dorm, Then you have to send me your arrival details by May 30th. So this is the information that you need to send, and I'll also include this information on the orientation schedule that you should be getting in the next week or so. But you need to send me your flight number, which airline you are, and especially which time you're arriving. But it's helpful to have the other information as well. And then when you get to the airport, you'll see an ECES staff member holding an ECES sign, as well as a driver from the transportation company who's waiting to take you to the dorm. And I'll also mention that it's a good idea, and I'll mention it again later, to have check crowns with you. There's some ATMs in the airport, so if you need help finding one of those, ask a staff member before you leave the airport to point out where those are. There isn't an ATM at the dorm, so it's helpful to do that at the airport. Once the airport transportation drops you off, I'll be waiting for you in the dorm lobby with your housing package, as well as our housing coordinator. His name is Jakob, and he's actually a master's level journalism student in the Faculty of Social Sciences, so one of our sister faculties. And he'll be living in the dorm this summer as your housing coordinator to help you on site with anything that you need. So he and I will explain the check-in process, help you check in at the front desk, and then we'll also collect the 500 crown housing deposit from you at that time, which is another, again, important reason to have some check crowns with you. 500 crowns is about 20 US dollars, and I'm totally going to guess on British pounds, but I'm going to go somewhere with 15 pounds, something like that. So it's not a ton of money, but it does cover any damage to the ECES community spaces, so the community kitchen and all of the dishware, the laundry room, and the study room. So we'll also go over the forms with you when you get there, which include a housing checkoff, so you can check your room, and that way the dorm can't charge you for any damage that you didn't do when you leave. Yeah? Okay, so I'll move on. The first day of ECES orientation is, of course, the day that you arrive, so we'll be there to check into the dorm all day, but I do recommend that you try and get in before 5 o'clock, or really before, I would say, 4 o'clock, because we're going to do a housing orientation at 5. And that'll just be really useful for you to find your way around the dorm. Jakob will show you where the laundry room is, how that works, how to report any damages, what's all in the kitchen for you to use, where the study room is, all of that good stuff. And then right after the housing orientation, he and I will walk you to a local Czech pub where you can buy some dinner and meet the rest of the ECES students, or at least about half of them, and also all of the other staff that aren't going to be at the dorm that day that maybe you haven't had a chance to meet yet. So that should be just a cool, relaxed night. We'll be able to suggest some great Czech food for you to try, and you'll be able to get settled and hopefully get over some jet lag if you're experiencing any. And then the next day, we'll take you in the morning to get your student ID cards at one of the 2 ID card facilities in the city center near to the university building, the main university building. And then you'll have your welcome meeting that afternoon, just after lunch, and in the late afternoon, you'll have your survival Czech language and culture course, the first half. So this is the mandatory 8-hour survival Czech course, which you all have to take as a part of the program. And really, this is a benefit to you because it's going to help you learn how to pronounce tram stop names and metro names, which is super useful. And how to order water and beer and all that good stuff. So this is the first 4 hours, and then the next day you'll have the next 4 hours. Kelsey, yeah, if you're not living at the dorm, then you can either come to the dorm at like 5:45 to walk with us to the meet and greet, or I'm also going to send out the address for the pub that we're going to, so you can meet us there. That's totally up to you. And of course, the meet and greet is optional, so none of you have to come if you don't want to, but it is a really great time, and we have the whole place booked. It has a nice terrace overlooking a beautiful part of Prague, so we really recommend it. It's kind of a nice way to start your first night in the city. So on Friday, you have the second half of the Czech language and culture course, and that's in the morning. So it's actually going to be 5 hours, but you'll get a 1-hour lunch break. And of course, your Czech teacher will be able to recommend to you places to go around to grab some food. And then that evening, you'll have your ECES reception and river cruise, which is actually a dinner cruise. So the photo there is from our cruise last year. It's a really beautiful time, especially a beautiful time at night. And you'll get to sail up and down the Vlatava River, looking at the beautiful scenery, and you'll get dinner included with that. Again, the river cruise is optional, but we really highly recommend it. It's one of the highlights of the orientation for sure. Then on Saturday, you'll have your ECES day trip. So this year, because we have so many students, we've decided to offer 3 different trips. So you may have seen that in the past we offered Kutna Hora, which is what this picture is of, and we will be offering Kutna Hora as one of the 3 options. But we'll have 2 other options as well. So I'll show you how to sign up for those on the website. Once those trips are uploaded, I'll send out an email and let you know when registration will begin, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, so you'll be able to sign up online. And spaces are limited for each trip. We can only bring a certain amount of students to each place. So again, it's first come, first served, just like the courses. And then the last day, so we're adding a day of orientation this year to try and make the experience a little bit better. So we're including an ECS scavenger hunt with Czech students, which is something we've always done in the semester, but we're adding it to the summer program as well to help you meet some local students before the program begins. So this is an optional activity, but you can actually sign up for it online, and I'll show you now how to do that, because it's the same way that you'll sign up for all of the other day trips during orientation. So on our website, you'll go to Trips and Activities. And so you'll see some things from this semester for now until this semester ends in just about 3 weeks' time, which is these here. But these optional trips are all for you. So obviously anything in June or July are things that are already planned for you guys, and we'll be adding more to as the month goes on. But the one I'm going to focus on now is this ECS scavenger hunt with local Czech students. So if you click on the title, this is what I'm talking about. So you'll each be paired. Everybody who signs up will be put into a group with local students, and you'll be given a list of places in the city to go find, and then you'll have to take photos of the place, and it's a great way to learn the city, teach it to yourself, and also meet some Czech students in a small group. We already have 9 Czech students, I believe, signed up, and I'm hoping to get some more, so it should be really great. So if you want to sign up for this, you can actually sign up for it right now. You'll just click sign in, and yeah, awesome, Lindsay, nice. So yeah, you'll be put on the list just like that. And that's actually exactly how you'll sign up for courses. So that's how it'll work with the course list too. And also for the orientation day trips. So I'll sign myself out. Cool, so yeah, keep signing up for that. We'd love to see you there. I'm hoping to get as many students involved with that as we can, because it's always a really fun experience during the semester. These are some photos from this spring. You can see the students found the castle on the Lenin Wall, but there's a whole bunch of other really different places to find in the city, places that you might not end up on your own that aren't super touristy, so that's nice. And then the scavenger hunt will end at a pub where you can buy some lunch and continue to meet the other ECS and Czech students, hang out with everybody. And then we have an optional castle tour at 3 o'clock. So actually, if you go back to the website and the list of trips, you can see the castle tour here. So this isn't something that you can sign in for because it's something optional, which you pay for. So once you get to Prague, you actually sign up for it with me in my office or with one of my colleagues, and then we'll sign you up on the website. So for all of these trips that happen throughout the summer, which have prices attached, there's something that you sign up directly for in the ECS office, and then we'll sign you in on the website. So only the orientation activities you'll sign up for yourself. Yeah? But if you wanted to do both, you definitely can. We've arranged it so that the scavenger hunt ends before the castle tour, and then we can actually walk you right to the castle tour if you want to do that. So speaking of the optional activities, these are the ones that we have so far, as I mentioned. Karlstein is a castle just about 45 minutes away from Prague. The castle interior itself is pretty empty. They're not dressed as they normally would be, but you do get a tour of the inside and get to learn the history of some Czech royalty and Czech nobility, so that's pretty interesting. It's also a really beautiful place just to spend an afternoon. Český Raj is this picture in the bottom right? Yes, Sarah. So the optional activities aren't included in the price. They're the price that's listed on the website. And we try to keep them as inexpensive as possible so that way they're available to everybody, but it also helps us keep the tuition down because you essentially pay for what you want to do. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. So Český Raj is this hiking trip that we do in Bohemian Paradise, which is about an hour away from Prague. And it's famous for these rock formations, which are really beautiful. So we hike from one town to another, past a castle where we picnic for lunch and go into the sandstone formations. And the forest that this is in, yeah, Michelle, this will be downloaded, available for download for sure. The forest where this is located is actually where a lot of fairy tales have been written about for the Czech Republic and Czech history, so it's kind of a really cool and beautiful place. And then Český Krumlov is this picture in the bottom left, and that's a small Bohemian town, a southern Bohemian town, and you'll have a guided tour of the city, and then the afternoon free to explore, and this is always a favorite trip of the students. We love doing it. It's a really, really beautiful spot. So yeah, these are the ones that we have available so far, and I will continue to post more on the website, so keep your eyes peeled. You'll get a full list of everything that'll be available at orientation. Oh. And then, so I'll just briefly go through housing. As I mentioned, or as it's mentioned in the website in the pre-departure guide, it's suite style living. So the dorm will actually assign your rooms for you. We don't really have very much control over that, although they do usually honor your requests. So you'll receive your room assignments when you arrive. Unfortunately, it's not something that I can give to you in advance. And that's always a question, and it's one of those things. So when you get here, you'll get your room assignments, but do know that we always try our best to get the dorm to honor what you've requested, and we always give them to them well in advance, so that way you know, or they know what you've wanted. And then you'll have your housing coordinator living on site, that's Jakob. You'll have access to a full kitchen for all ECES students with cooking supplies. Your breakfast is provided Monday through Friday, as is your laundry and your internet. So we'll explain all of that during your housing orientation, but just to give you a brief overview of the housing. And then the last little bit, practical considerations. So remember to call your credit card company and your bank to let them know that you'll be traveling. This is super important, especially some of you have already begun to realize this as you've made housing and tuition payments on our website. Your bank may try and block any foreign transactions that you make because it thinks that they're fraudulent if making charges in the Czech Republic isn't a normal thing for your card. So make sure that you call your credit card and company and your bank in advance to let them know that you'll be traveling to the Czech Republic, and also if you'll be traveling to any other countries in Europe while you're here. That way you won't have any issues with your debit card or credit card being turned off in the middle of your trip. The exchange rates are actually fluctuating a lot, so this is approximate, but I think even today it was $1 to like 23.5 Czech crowns, so keep an eye on the exchange rate because they have been changing pretty frequently recently, more so than they have in the last year for sure. And okay, so in terms of adapters, make sure that you have European style adapters for your electronics. These are with 2 round pinholes, and I can show you one, perhaps, so that you know. Maybe not. Yeah. So here is the European style adapter. It has 2 round pins, if you can see. Yeah? If anybody plans to travel to the UK while you're here, make sure that you have also a UK adapter because the UK plugs look different than the European plugs. So that's really important. If you're only staying in Europe, then these are fine. And I'll also mention that heat-producing appliances can be problematic, and these are especially hair straighteners, hair dryers, curling irons, things like that. Even with electrical converters, which convert the voltage, they can still overheat. So if you have American-style appliances, it might be good to purchase inexpensive ones here in order to avoid overheating issues. And if you want to do that when you get here, I can definitely show you stores that will have inexpensive, good ones that you can buy. So the other thing you can do is start learning Czech, and I recommend downloading the app called Memrise. This is an app that you can have on your phone or your tablet or even your computer, and you can download check lessons, and it's something that I use. It's really useful, and it's something that you can use offline. So if you're traveling, if you're on the plane and you want to practice, it's definitely a good thing to start doing. It's helpful to be able to pronounce street signs and tram names and all that good stuff when you get here. So yeah, that's a good idea. And then the last thing I'll mention is to get an ECES card, and this is something that you have to do in advance. You can't buy one of these in Prague. What this is an international student identity card, and it's something that's accepted all over Europe as a student ID card. So you'll get the Charles University ID card when you get here, but some places will give discounts just for ECES cards. So we do recommend that you get one, and you can order it online or go to one of their locations if they have a location close to where you live. And so that's the end. Does anybody have any questions now that we're at the end of the presentation? You can take, as far as ECES is concerned, you can take up to 4 classes and as few as 1. We don't have a minimum, and our maximum is 4, which is quite a stretch. If you take 4 classes, you'll be really busy with academic work. Most of our students take 2 or 3 classes. For your login information, it's actually just your name and your date of birth. So just click register in the top right-hand corner of our webpage. And I'll show you here. If you log out, you'll click register here and then put in your first name and date of birth and pick your username and password. That's something that you can do. If you arrive early to the dorm, just let me know as soon as you can, and we can arrange for them to let you in early. It costs 375 Czech crowns if you have an ECES card, or 500 if you don't. So that's something that you'll pay to them directly per night if you come early. But we can help you arrange that, and as long as they have space, then it shouldn't be an issue. But it's possible that they will fill up, so let me know as soon as you can. If you have a problem registering for the website, just send me a quick email, and I'll look at it right after the webinar is over. In the email, make sure you give me your full, correct name and date of birth, and I'll check that information in our system. If you want to leave a day late, that's something you can actually arrange with the dorm once you get here, and the housing coordinator can help you book that with them. Usually leaving late isn't as much of a problem as coming early because they get less full as the summer goes on. Any other questions? No? All right. Well, if anybody has any other questions that come up, please send me an email. I'm happy to answer anything for you. I also have a Skype name, so in case you don't want to, if you want a more direct or quick answer, you can Skype me instead of calling, and I'll type it into the chat box so that you have it. It's called ECES_and_U Prague. So that's my Skype name. Anytime that it says I'm online and available, it means I'm actually there. So feel free to call or even just chat, and I'll answer as quickly as I can. And then I also have my office phone number, which you can feel free to call anytime. Some of you have taken advantage of that. That's totally great. Yeah, so thank you all so much for coming. As I mentioned, this is being recorded, so after we're done, I'll post it up on YouTube and you can watch it later. If you'd like, I'll send it out to everybody. And otherwise, I will see you in a month and a half. Yeah? All right, have a good night. Bye, guys.